Good morning, South Africa. Well, I'm sure that many of us still remember the Meryl Streep movie Cry in the Dark, about the notorious dingo trial in Australia when Mrs. Azaria Chamberlain was accused of murdering her baby. And she claimed that a wild dog or dingo had snatched the child. Well, Australia has again been rocked by memories of this incident, and many who believe that Mrs. Chamberlain was guilty are now changing their minds following the news that a 15-month-old toddler's feeding bottle was snatched from her by a dingo on Fraser Island off Australia's Queensland coast.
On Fraser Island, some dingoes are dangerous and the locals are worried.
A child is going to lose its life.
Do you think then that there is a risk?
Well, it came very close last week.
I heard a scream and I turned around and saw the dingo biting at her.
Alison Russell was attacked repeatedly.
And where did it bite you first?
Just here.
We should have been warned there were dingoes.
15-month-old Sarah had a very lucky escape.
I thought what a lucky girl she was.
How did you react when you saw this happen?
I sort of just froze with fear at first.
Fraser Island is home for a colony of dingoes. They used to be timid, scarcely seen. Not anymore. Dingoes have attracted tourists, and the tourists in turn have attracted dingoes.
Naturally, they're very, very timid animals indeed.
Angela Berger, a shop owner, has been here for 12 years. Fraser Island, she says, now faces a crisis.
So what's changed?
The people feeding them. The dingoes are natural scavengers, so people camping along the beach might leave a bit of rubbish out, and the dingoes would come in the night. Then the people would see their footprints, so then they'd start leaving food out for them. Then they'd start to tempt them to eat from the hand. And this is a problem which has escalated.
Sarah and her mum Sharon Aitkins were day tourists last Friday, a day Sharon prefers to forget.
Well, down on the beach when two dingoes, one come up in front of her and one behind her, and next thing I know, the one in front of her just went straight up to her and snatched the bottle out of her hand.
It jumped at her buttocks and her thigh, and then it went at her ankle.
Alison and her mother Anne and the family were on a camping holiday. They had already been annoyed by dingoes at the campsite.
Were they obviously scavenging for food?
Oh, yes, yeah, quite definitely. Didn't give them any food or anything.
Why not?
Because I don't think they should be fed.
Then, on the way home, the attack.
She was trying to get away. She was trying to run away from it, and he jumped at her repeatedly.
And when you tried to shoo it away, would it go away?
No.
It was an aggressive action, yeah, definitely. I didn't think they would do it, but...
It's all very familiar, isn't it? 10 years ago, August 1980, Azaria Chamberlain became one of the most written about children in Australian history. And Lindy Chamberlain almost certainly immortalised this phrase.
The dingoes got my baby.
Azaria was just 9 weeks old. No Australian needs reminding of that tragic death. And a lot of the heated debate centred on the defence of the dingo. Could it successfully attack a child? No, said many experts. Well, these days, a lot of Australians are much more cautious.
I'm one of those who really genuinely doubted that the incident with Mrs. Chamberlain had really happened. But obviously, I would say now, I'm swinging so much more to belief in her story. And obviously, I would say the people in that particular camping ground at Ayers Rock had been feeding the dingoes longer than they have been being fed here.